Welcome back. Government has announced a restriction on fishing around penguin colonies for the next 10 years. This to protect the critically endangered African penguin from extinction. Forestry, Fisheries and Environment Minister Creecy said on Friday that the restriction will remain in effect until 2033, unless both the fishing industry and the conservation sector find an alternative fishing limitation. So what threats do the African penguins actually face? To discuss this, I'm joined by Two Oceans Aquarium Communications and Sustainability Manager, Helen Lockhart. Good evening to you, Helen. Thank you very much for joining us here on Newsnight. Let's just put the situation into perspective. How bad is it?
So, Abigail, yes, the African penguins are in severe crisis at the moment and facing possible functional extinction in the wild in just 12 years' time. That's 2035. And they have literally gone from millions of pairs in the 1900s down to just about 10,000 pairs today. So it really is a very critical situation for these birds, which are actually endemic to southern South Africa and Namibia, which means they're found nowhere else in the world. So we have the habitat, we have the feeding grounds, we have the breeding grounds right here on our doorstep. And yeah, it really is up to us. We've got 12 years to turn the tide and to get these penguins back on the fast track to recovery.
I'm really hoping that we can do that, and this is the reason why I thought it was so important to shine the spotlight on this issue. What has been some of the contributing factors over the years, and for how long has this been a concern?
So, Abigail, yeah, I think, historically, African penguins were obviously hunted for their eggs and even their meat. And then also guano, which was, obviously that's penguin feces, was taken off the islands where they nest in great quantities for fertilizer. So those things historically have contributed towards the decline of penguins. But in more recent years, things like overfishing, competition over food, because they eat sardines and anchovies, which obviously is part of human diet as well. So overfishing, and then as well as that, oil pollution, climate change, habitat destruction and habitat loss, noise pollution, predation, not only by natural predators such as seals and otters, but also by domestic species such as dogs on beaches where there are penguins. So these are just some of the major issues facing penguins at the moment. But the competition for food is, at this stage, we think is one of the main contributing factors to the decline.
And we've now heard that government has implemented that restriction around fishing around the colonies for the next 10 years. Are we optimistic that this will cause some sort of change, or is this just a drop in the ocean?
So I think it's very much, good news. Certainly part of the way. We were very relieved that the minister has kept in place these interim closures that were implemented in 2022. But unfortunately, it's not enough. We are going to look for greater consensus between the fishing industries and the conservation sector in terms of looking for greater protection, because we really need to make sure that the foraging areas where the penguins go out to feed are really protected as much as possible. And on top of that, we also need to look at colony management, habitat management. So there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. Obviously, balancing economic situations, livelihoods as well. So it's quite a complex situation, which is why it's taken a long time to get to this point between the fishing industries and the conservation sector. But I think that we are certainly moving in the right direction. And I think with public support in terms of whatever the public can do in terms of showing support for the minister's actions, showing care and love for African penguins, we're certainly, hopefully heading in the right direction. We need to do as much as we possibly can in a very short period of time to really make a difference.
I'd love to unpack how South Africans can assist. We'll chat about that briefly later, but I want to unpack this campaign, #NotOnOurWatch. Just talk to us about the idea behind this campaign and what you are hoping to achieve here.
Yeah, so we launched the campaign in March this year together with our partners in the United States, the Florida Aquarium, the Georgia Aquarium, and then partners in Australia, Zoos Victoria. And basically, Not on Our Watch campaign started off to raise awareness about the plight of African penguins, because there are a lot of people in South Africa who are unaware of the state that these birds find themselves in. They're unaware that they are an endemic species, something of which we can be incredibly proud of. They're part of our marine legacy and heritage. So really to just raise awareness, tell people about them, how they live, where they live around our coast, and then, what is actually happening? What is the situation around the African penguins? And then also to call on the minister, to call on Minister Barbara Creecy, and to highlight the fact that there are a lot of people out there that are, care about penguins and would like to see her making the right choices around African penguins. Mm-hmm. So the campaign really is an awareness campaign first and foremost. And then, as you say, it also lists a lot of things that the general public can do to assist the situation.
Helen, I think an interesting point is the impact that this will have on tourism and also jobs and livelihood. Can we expand on the impact of those?
Well, certainly there was a study done that showed that the Boulders Beach colony in near Simonstown is worth billions of rands in terms of tourism and obviously jobs. So if that colony was to become extinct, that money, obviously that revenue would be lost. And that study didn't take into consideration all the other colonies around the coast. So Stony Point, Betty's Bay, Bird Island, and St. Croix further up the coast, Robben Island and Dust Island. So, as I said, billions of rands could be lost if these penguins are allowed to go extinct.
Just lastly, Helen, how do we assist as ordinary South Africans? How do we get involved? Also, quickly talk about the October 14th African Penguin Awareness Day and what will be happening there. Just in conclusion, please.
Absolutely, Abigail. So, as I said, all South Africans are called to support the African penguin and to do whatever they can. And the big event that is taking place on the 14th of October is African Penguin Awareness Day. And we will be organizing waddles around the country, basically walks to support and raise awareness about the African penguin. So please keep an eye out on the Now #Now website, which is africanpenguins.org, and all dates and venues and places where the waddle will be taking place will be listed there. We're also calling on everybody around the country to organize a waddle themselves. So if it's a school, get your school to dress in black and white and to walk around your school, or if it's a running club or a walking club, get a group together, organize a 5K walk, dress in black and white, organize some placards saying why you love African penguins. That's something you can look forward to on the 14th of October. And then, of course, things like sustainable seafood. I think that's the next best thing. So look out for the sustainable seafood list, SASSI, which lists seafood in terms of red, which is not to buy, not to eat, orange for caution, and then green for go. So any green listed species are sustainably caught, sustainably fished, and their populations are still sustainable. So please choose green seafood as much as possible. And I think if the public can do those two things, that will be an enormous support for African penguins.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much, Helen, for sharing your insights, for creating awareness, and for the amazing work that you are doing and will continue to do. We appreciate your time and your insights. That was Helen Lockhart from the Two Oceans Aquarium, just talking to us about the importance of conserving the African penguin, who is currently at risk of extinction. But moving on.